Hey, welcome to a long overdue episode of the archive edition of Chad's Beer Podcast. I still do have probably about a half dozen more episodes of these still in the archives to show. But anyway, this episode was an interview with Seth Wright from Beer Nation. Not Beer Geek Nation, just Beer Nation. Their channel is still there. Not much point in subscribing because they haven't posted anything in 11 years. But yeah, this was like they did, brewery tours, kind of documentaries. They're kind of like at the time, was kind of like the American equivalent of the craft beer channel, sort of. Or like what 𝒕𝒏 does, where he goes a lot of breweries, interviews brewers, and even had an interview with Jim Koch from Sam Adams. So anyway, if you remember Brett Vanderbroek, who was in a couple episodes, Captain S, I introduced them, and he actually did a couple videos with them. I don't know if he was in the video or just shot the video, but anyway. So Seth Wright and we did a review of Brooklyn local, I can't remember if it was one or two, it was one of their Belgian beers, which I really miss those. Those are really good. So I will post a short of that somewhere. So anyways, enjoy this archive edition. Bye.
Hey, welcome to another episode of Interview with a Craft Beer Enthusiast. Today I'm talking with Seth Wright from beernation.com.
Beer Nation Show.
Oh, it's Beer Nation Show.
Yeah. I didn't want to buy the guy who's squatting on beernation.com. So I just went beernationshow.com.
Okay. Yeah, and that's your YouTube channel too, right?
Yeah. Well, now we've gone all it's Twitter. Beer Nation Show is pretty much like everywhere now.
Right. Yeah, for the people who aren't familiar, how would you describe your show? Because you're not a beer reviewer like we are. You're more like a beer journalist.
Kind of. I mean, me and my co-host Mike Wynn, we are exploring the craft beer revolution, right? And we're exploring every aspect of it, from the Chads and the Sam Calagiottis and the bar owners, the Patrick Donagers, and the all the way down the line. We talk to and explore all the aspects. So we've done shows with brewmasters, like I said, bar owners. We did one with the blogger. We've gone all across the board and talked to different people. There's a couple guys that draw comics, the brewerycomic.com, and that's something that's really interesting and cool. So we're pretty much just kind of watching what's going on and talking to everybody who's in it and why is it blowing up. And so our show is mainly discussing that kind of stuff.
If you can summarize it really quick, I'm just wondering what your personal history, and if you can say Mike's too, you guys' personal history with beer, were you always fans of more gourmet, high-end types of beer? Or were you, typical Americans, fizzy old drinkers, then just one day you drank something like this and that was it? What's your story?
You want the epiphany story, right?
Yeah.
Well, back in high school, living in Manhattan, I grew up in Manhattan, now I live in Brooklyn, but I used to drink 40s on the stoop, 40s are crazy for us, malt liquor, 250, Colt 45, and we drank it because that's what we could get our hands on. And I don't know, that definitely didn't get me into beer at all, because it's not good. But then once I got to college in upstate New York, right around where you live, Chad, in Skid City, at Union College, we were not enjoying the keg beers that the frats were serving. We would pick up Saranac, we would get Magic Hat, Pete's Wicked. Things like that were a little more exciting. So we would spend a little more for a 6-pack in our dorm room and then go out and drink the crap for free. But that was really where it started. Me and Mike met in college, and he's now a lawyer, and I'm a professional engineer, civil engineer. And so, we just knew that we didn't like drinking that. We wanted to drink something a little bit better. And then slowly our palates continued to rise and rise. And, I don't even know the last time I had a Brooklyn Lager or even a Sam Lager, but those two were really up there of things that got me into this world. You know, when I would go to a party, I'd bring that, and people would be like, you know, what is that? I'm like, this is much better. So, you know, so then a couple years ago, me and Mike decided we wanted to do some stuff, you know, maybe some show stuff on the internet, and we met up with a production company with two guys, 𝗕𝗘𝗥𝒄𝒂𝒔𝒕 Pictures, and they were like, you know what, we like this idea. Let's explore this idea. So that was a couple years ago, and now we have 15 episodes. We're on iTunes. They're all like 3 to 6, 7 minutes long. All the way from going to breweries and going to bars. We went out to Denver for the GABF, which was fun.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, you know, we're doing it. We're chugging along, as I say.
You guys decided to go full out, like to do a highly professionally produced journalistic show with, you know, like it has like some comedic, you know, values to it. Like you guys aren't taking yourselves too seriously, which I love.
No.
Yeah, so what was the impetus behind that instead of saying, you know, it's not good enough to just, you know, I don't want to just be, you know, anonymous ratebeer.com user. We're going to go, if we're going to do this, we're going to do it, bring our A+ game to it. What was
Well,
the
I
story?
mean, having the guys come to us with the editing and the camera and stuff, that made it so that we knew we wanted to. I mean, we're both characters. I mean, we go crazy and we do crazy stuff, and so, you know, like when we get together, you know, all of our friends are like just sitting there like laughing at us, whether they're laughing at us or with us, we don't know, we don't care. But, you know, so we were like, you know what, we could use these characters and, like, you know, go at it in that way and go meet people and go. I mean, our first idea was really just about exploring because, you know, for me, I like taste the local wine, and, you know, I have an idea about what it tastes like. But for me, like, I just like the way it tastes. I have trouble explaining it and like tasting all the flavors. I really should take the 𝗕𝒐𝒅𝒛 class, right? So I wanted to use the show to learn more, and I wanted to help other people learn more by watching the show. And you're doing it in a different way. You know, you're explaining what it is that these flavors that you can go and get at the store. I wanted to go that step where I talk to the guy who created it and see what he was trying to get out of it, you know, and like what he thinks is going on with the fact that there's thousands of breweries now, like in the supermarket, and you have to make that decision.
Right.
You know? So that's what I was thinking when I wanted to do it.
Now, how did you guys get the show off the ground? Like, you know, when you don't have any footage or whatever, how did you convince like your first brewery to let you tour and interview them?
Well, they were both local. We went to Pacific Standard, which was a regular spot of mine in Brooklyn on 4th Avenue. And we went to 6 Point, which is also very local to the area. I could walk there from my house, long walk and not in the snow, but I could walk there in Red Hook. And so, you know, like they knew us because we'd been around the block and we'd, you know, been to the parties and stuff and events. And I'd seen some of those guys, Jeff from 6 Point and both the Johns from Pacific Standard. And so I just approached them. I said, look, we have got this idea. What do you think? And really for them, it's like, oh, you're going to do a 10-minute advertisement? You're going to put it online?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they're going to say no, you know?
Yeah. How has the show evolved? You've been doing it for, what, 1.5, 2 years now?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a real good question. The very beginning, the first couple episodes were longer set shows that could be almost on like Travel Channel. We were setting them up to be the 22-minute style. We never got that far because that takes a lot of editing and a lot of footage.
Right.
But we were visiting the brewery and the bar, and there was a question with each show. Like the second episode, the question was like, "What is craft beer?" Right? Because some people just don't know, and you know, a lot of people are like, "Oh, it's micro, right?" It's like, well, no, not exactly. And so we talked to Patrick from Rattle and Hum and talked to Scott Vaccaro from Captain Lawrence, and we pretty much asked that question of them. And we got into what they're doing, but we also were like, "What do you guys think? What do you think it is?"
How was you've been real big on, like as you said at the beginning of the show, your guys are real big into social networking, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Blip TV, iTunes, all that
Yeah.
stuff. Has that been like a kind of perpetual motion kind of thing of where it just you started out small and you just kind of snowballed, or did you guys put a lot into promoting the show?
Well, right now that's like pretty much our entire marketing department. I mean, if they shut down Facebook and Twitter tomorrow, which is not going to happen, but if they did that, I would have really very little in the way of getting the word out. So I pretty much just built my page. The Seth Wright page is pretty much now a Beer Nation page. For a long time, I even had Beer Nation logo as my face. And we have a fan page, and like that's how I can get it out there. We tweet every day about what's going on and new shows coming out. I mean, right now, that's the best way to get the word out there. Now, just recently, we did do the blip, like you said, which was awesome because it hooks you up it distributes your product across the board to a bunch of different distribution sites, players, they say. And iTunes was gigantic. When we got on there, somehow we got on the front page of podcasts, and it like just exploded. I mean, like we have over 20,000 hits in the last month.
Wow.
It took me 2 years just to be like, can you watch my show? Hey, I got the show about beer, and then like, boom.
Yeah, what does the future hold for your show?
Yeah, that's a great question, Chad. I mean, if we can, I think soon we're gonna have to start like generating some sort of like monetization so that we can not be shelling, because right now, like you said, you're at the point where you're at least breaking even. You're getting enough money that you can buy the beers
Right.
to review, so you're not shelling out money. So we're almost at the point where we need to start like getting enough money so that we can fly a crew somewhere or drive or or just take care of our people that are right now helping us do this. Because there's 5 partners in this, 2 from the picture company, my wife who's the graphic designer, and me and Mike.
Right.
So right now we're putting in our own capital to keep it going, but eventually we kind of need someone else to like put it in so that we can say like, thank you, Chad's Beer Reviews for sending us out to next year's GABF. So if you got a couple extra grand, Chad, you could be a sponsor of Beer Nation.
Yeah, maybe I will. What's your opinion of the beer blogosphere and vlogosphere? Like, it seems like every Tom, Dick, and Harry has their own personal beer website these days. You go on YouTube, there's tons of beer reviewers like me. You go on iTunes, there's quite a few highly professional beer video podcasts and audio podcasts.
Yeah.
To me, it almost seems like the market is saturated where it's hard to stand out from the crowd. But some people would look at that and say, that's good because there's all this enthusiasm. You don't need a one single voice. So what's your take on just how the beer enthusiast community in general is, whether it's amateur or professional?
Well, I definitely think it's good that more and more people are getting into it because, what are we talking about? Like 7% of the beer drinking country, and then probably less of, the entire world. Right. So, there's a lot of growth. And, you turn on the TV, there's not just one reality show. There's hundreds. Right. And they all get watched. People enjoy it. So, as long as your show is interesting, if it's about beer, then that's great. Because the more and more people that are into beer, the more and more people are going to watch these shows. And as long as you put out something that you're proud of and you feel like this is, something that people will enjoy, then I think that 25 shows could easily, make their way. Food Network doesn't have one Food Network show,
Right.
So, if you had 6 or 7 really good beer shows, doing something a little bit differently, then that's great. You know, like, I mean, there's the brewery show that just came out. They put out something about a brewery. They're pretty much talking right at the brewery, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, New Thursday, they do a different brew every Thursday. And, you know, they talk about it, and then Dr. Bill comes on and he pairs some food with it. So, you know, and then we are exploring all the pieces. We're exploring those guys. We're exploring the brewers. We're exploring the people who sell it. You know, so there's a lot of different aspects. And then there's the homebrew shows. I mean, that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
Where guys like in his kitchen talking about, you know, this and this would work with that. And that's not something that so much I would be interested in. I like watching them because I like to learn more about what it is I'm talking about. But if I was a brewer, these kind of shows would be great because it's like I need more than just the explanation written down.
Right.
Could you just show me how to connect that thing and watch it spin through the wort chiller? Because I'm not sure I understand.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you're pretty enthusiastic overall, and as far as the beer blogosphere. What about the actual beer industry? As somebody that's has been a journalist of it, what do you see in the future? Do you think craft beer will ever have more than 10% of the market? Or,
I mean, without a doubt, there's no. I mean, when I say there's no way, but like, I mean, I've met a lot of these guys through doing this show, and they're all just like really great guys. You know, like I want to buy Bill C's beer from Victory because like he's awesome. You know, like when we met Sam Calagione at GABF, he like, you know, he's on a major television station with his show. He could have been like, oh, you know, like I'm busy, guys. He was like, okay, yeah, sure, let's do an interview quick. You know, like you're never gonna get that from like big time. I mean, I can't name a brewmaster from Bud, Coors, or Miller. You know, so at the same time, you know, like the beer is good, but the people are good. You know, like what is I think isn't somebody's motto is like good beer for good people. You know,
Flying Dog.
Flying Dog, right? Good beer, good people, good everything. Yeah, I mean it's true.
Can you plug your webpage, Facebook, Twitter, all that stuff?
Yes, beernationshow.com. Twitter is the same thing, Beer Nation Show. We've got a fan page on Facebook. I just actually watched the social network, and it made me want to jump onto the computer and like push it more. Right. I was like, yeah, come on, everyone. Yeah, everyone loves Facebook. So yeah, there's a fan page. I mean, you can pretty much type in Beer Nation into a lot of things now, and our show will come up, hopefully. I mean, that's what I'm hoping.
All right. Well, thanks again, and cheers. And we'll see you later.
All right, Chad.
Yep. Bye.